let's talk about the AI gold rush. Because, it's not just about fancy silicon and clever code. Nope. Underneath all those incredible algorithms is something much more basic, much more primal. We're talking about raw brute force power. And our old grid, that 1.0 infrastructure, it's just not going to cut it. So today, we're going to dig into how this massive, looming bottleneck is creating one of the biggest opportunities out there, the next generation of energy infrastructure.
And look, this quote right here, it just nails it. The super advanced digital world has a very, very physical problem. While everyone's eyes are glued to the next big AI model, the real drama is happening behind the scenes, with the creaking century-old power grid that's supposed to run it all. And that is the opportunity we're talking about, owning the essential toll booths of this new, smarter energy grid.
So let's talk about the sheer scale of this problem. 156 gigawatts. That's how much power we think AI data centers alone will need by 2030. Now, to put that number into perspective for you, a single gigawatt is about what a whole nuclear power plant can churn out. So we are talking about an energy demand equivalent to building over 150 brand new nuclear reactors in just a handful of years. It's staggering.
Okay, and this is where it gets really dicey. This demand is creating a huge risk, something the market is only now waking up to. It's called stranded capital. Just imagine this, companies spending billions and billions on the latest, greatest NVIDIA chips, building these colossal data centers, only to find out there literally isn't enough juice to plug them in. Seriously. The most advanced technology in history could end up being a very, very expensive paperweight.
And that leads us right into our first big idea, the AI paradox. See, we love to think of AI as this weightless, magical thing that just lives up in the cloud. But the brutal, honest truth, AI is a business of atoms, and it comes with some very real, very heavy physical limits. So what do we actually mean when we say business of atoms? Well, it's not just about flipping a switch. It means building out power grids on a scale we've never seen before. It means finding and using huge amounts of water just to keep these super hot data centers from melting down. And it means the actual physical boots-on-the-ground construction of these incredibly specialized buildings. The digital revolution, it turns out, is built on a foundation of concrete, steel, and a whole lot of copper wire.
Want a crazy example? Let's just look at one company, OpenAI. To run their software and fuel their future plans, they're looking at needing up to 26 gigawatts of power. That is the entire output of 26 nuclear power plants for one company. Now multiply that across the whole industry, Google, Meta, Amazon, all the startups, and you really start to grasp the insane scale of this paradox.
All right. This is where we hit the fundamental conflict, the real breaking point. I like to call it a tale of two clocks. On one hand, you have the blistering, insane speed of digital innovation. And on the other, you have the painfully slow, bureaucratic pace of building stuff in the real world. And they are on a collision course.
First, let's look at the clock that the energy world runs on. Let's say you want to build a new nuclear power plant. The kind of consistent, reliable power that data centers absolutely love. Well, get ready to wait. The application and review process with the NRC, that can take 5 years, easily. Then the actual construction and getting it online, that's another 5 years, if you're lucky. So you're looking at a 10-year journey, best case scenario, just to get 1 gigawatt of new power.
Now, let's look at the other clock, the one that runs on AI time. NVIDIA, the company basically driving this whole revolution, is on a relentless 2-year innovation cycle. We had their Hopper chip in 2022. Blackwell just dropped this year, and they've already announced Rufin for 2026. You see the problem here, right? The math just doesn't work. AI is innovating 5 times faster than our power grid can even hope to expand using the old playbook.
So with a mismatch that huge, how on earth do you solve it? Well, one of the more, let's call them creative ideas getting tossed around is this green Bitcoin gambit. The theory goes that crypto mining could actually save the day and stabilize the grid for AI. But as we're about to see, it's a pretty wild idea with some deep, deep flaws.
So the promise sounds kind of neat, right? The idea is that Bitcoin miners could act as this flexible buyer of last resort. They just soak up all the extra solar and wind power when nobody else wants it, which in theory makes green energy projects more profitable. But then you look at the reality of the model, and it's just extreme. To make it work, you'd have to build enough new power to generate 6 times the entire grid's current demand. And the truly wild part?
A staggering 83% of all that new green energy would go straight to mining crypto, not to our homes, not to our factories, not even to the AI data centers. I mean, right off the bat, you can see some huge glaring flaws here. First, it completely ignores the massive environmental cost of actually building all those solar panels and turbines. Second, it's based on this fantasy that profit-hungry miners will just do the right thing and sell their power back to the grid during a heat wave, even if they could make more money mining. It's a path that could lead to this bizarre dystopian future where we blanket the planet in green tech, not for us, but just to power a giant virtual casino.
So, okay, if that's a dystopian fantasy, where's the real solution? Well, it's not about building a bigger, dumber grid. It's about building a smarter one. And that brings us to a timeless investment strategy, one we're going to call the energy toll booths, but seriously upgraded for the 21st century.
And to get what we're talking about, you gotta think like Warren Buffett. This quote says it all. Instead of betting on all the risky gold miners trying to find their fortune, Buffett would rather just own the bridge they all have to cross. Why? Because a bridge is indispensable. It's basically a monopoly. And it just sits there, collecting a toll from every single person who needs to get to the other side. It is a simple, powerful, and incredibly durable way to invest.
And boom, here's where it all clicks together. The power grid is the ultimate modern-day bridge. Think about it. It doesn't matter if your electricity comes from a solar panel, a wind turbine, or a nuclear reactor. It doesn't matter if it's powering an AI data center or charging your car. No matter what, somebody has to transport and manage that electricity. The grid is the one non-negotiable toll booth for the entire economy.
So here's the bottom line. Our whole framework boils down to this, the toll booth thesis. We all know the story of the gold rush, right? The most reliable fortunes weren't made by the guys digging for gold. Most of them went broke. The real money was made by the people selling the picks, the shovels, and controlling the roads to get there. Well, in today's AI gold rush, the smart grid is the ultimate pick, shovel, and access road, all rolled into one. So that brings us to the big question. How do you actually own these AI enablers? Let's get down to brass tacks and turn this whole idea into something actionable.
What you're seeing now is that the smart money is starting to look beyond the obvious big-name AI companies. The real focus is shifting to what you might call the second-order beneficiaries, the companies building the essential smart physical infrastructure. These are the enablers, the businesses laying the intelligent foundation that the entire AI industry absolutely depends on.
And you can literally see this strategic shift right here. An ETF like AIQ, that's your bet on the gold miners, the AI developers themselves. But an ETF like POWR, that's a bet on the toll booths. And when you pop the hood on something like that, you're not just finding companies that build dumb power lines. You're finding the companies that are developing the smart technology, the grid-edge hardware, the management software, that is absolutely critical to preventing blackouts and making the grid efficient enough for this new AI era.
And we can get even more specific, because the Energy 2.0 ecosystem isn't just about power lines. It's about solving brand new, really complex problems. The biggest one has this funny name. It's called the duck curve. Basically, with so much solar now, you get this massive flood of super cheap energy in the middle of the day. But then, right when demand peaks in the evening, the sun goes down and all that power vanishes. That's where the better battery from our opening hook becomes absolutely crucial. The real picks and shovels are the companies building grid-scale battery storage, the ones running virtual power plants that use software to bundle together thousands of home solar systems into one giant power source, and the firms creating the grid-edge technology, the smart meters and AI that manage all this in real time. That's the modern toolkit.
And this right here is the core opportunity. It's called energy arbitrage. It's all about capturing the price difference between that super cheap solar energy at noon and the super expensive power everyone needs at 7 p.m. The companies that can buy and store that cheap energy in a battery and then sell it back to the grid at a huge premium when an AI data center is desperate for it, well, those are the companies holding all the cards. They're solving the single biggest bottleneck, and they're in a position to capture incredible value.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. As trillions of dollars pour into artificial intelligence, who do you think will make the real lasting fortunes? The people writing the code, or the people who own the grid that powers it all? Thanks for watching.